How are you doing? And later on, switch on TV. They give me the news, they give half-truths to me. They give us wise, they feed us lies. How are we doing? Educate, they fabricate. And we sit back till it's too late.
The Radio Avenger, Rick Adams, is on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just fiddling with my fiddle here and feel like Rome, you know, the end of the empire here. Well, it's getting pretty close, as you know. Well, right now, I am here, and I'm waiting for our guest to call in. Hopefully he can call in. We've invited Charles Neely, Rabbi John, as he calls himself here on the program. He's a call-in guest, so to speak, as you know. He's running for Congress again, and he's running against Tim Griffith in Arkansas. And he said that he would be calling us in the first hour, so let's give him a little time to do that, and we'll hopefully hear from him anytime. I want to ask him from the bottom of my heart about the airport in Arkansas. I guess they're going to name it or rename it after after Bill and Hillary Clinton. Yes, that's the Little Rock Airport. Going to be renamed for Bill and Hillary. And knowing how much they've done, how much good they've done, I think that Rabbi John would probably have no objection to that, right? I'm just kidding, of course. But anyhow, one of the things that I did want to mention is your television. That's right, your Talmud vision. Well, it seems as if, according to the Daily Mail in the UK, the CIA wants to spy on you through your TV and surveillance. And every time you download a film from Netflix to a flat screen, or you turn on your web radio, they could be alerting unwarranted watchers to exactly what they are doing and where they are. Spies will no longer have to plant bugs in your home. Well, no kidding. The rise of connected gadgets controlled by apps will mean that people bug their own homes, according to Mr. Betrayus. Yes, and we know he has quite a history of betraying us. Well, the CIA claims it will be able to read these devices via the Internet and perhaps even via radio waves from outside the home. Everything from remote controls to clock radios can now be controlled via apps. And chip company ARM recently unveiled a low-powered, cheaper chips which will be used in everything from refrigerators to ovens and even doorbells. How do you like that, huh? All of these gadgets and surveillance weaponry will be employed to keep us safe, undoubtedly. Well, there it is, the police state, right here in America, 1984 in 2012. How do you like that, huh? Okay, we'll return. Rick Adams Uncensored in 3 minutes. All right, folks, we're back now. Still no sign of Charles Neely. I know he's having phone problems. He's having internet problems. He's having a lot of problems there. But you know what? I still think he would be an improvement in Congress over Tim Griffith. And when we do get John on here, when we do get Charlie or John or whatever, he is we're going to share with you some of the commercials that he has made. Actually, I think he made them himself. They're pretty good, actually, about Tim Griffith and his running around the globe for Israel and being a chicken hawk and one of the warmongers. Oh my, it's pretty good. It's pretty nice stuff. And matter of fact, when we do get Charlie on, Dr. K has consented to allowing me the privilege of once again giving away 5 of his kits containing the 3 books that we talk about frequently. Wrongly Blamed, on the real killers of 9/11, the real perpetrators. And the other 2 books are Volume 1 and Volume 2 of The Magnificent Message, a modern English translation of the Quran for your edification. And anyone who contributes $20 or more to his campaign, to Charles's campaign, will be getting that. The first 5, I should say the first 5 people that do, if they do, contribute to his campaign. But first we want to talk to him, and tonight I thought would be the best night. Tomorrow night we do have Dr. K and Wolfgang from the road. Wolfgang will return. Thursday night I have none other than Lindsey Williams. Hadn't heard from Lindsey for a while, and I don't know that anybody else has, but I decided to initiate a call, and sure enough, Lindsey's back again with a whole new set of DVDs and audios and everything else on the current energy sham and the price increases at the pump. And that's just for the gas, of course. But he will be on Thursday night on our program. And I don't know if he's been on any other programs. I haven't heard him or heard of him being on, but he will be with us, he promises, Thursday night. And, of course, Friday night, the protocols resumes. So tonight, I'm waiting to hear from Charles Neely, Rabbi John, who will be coming on the program sooner or later if he can get his internet and phone connection straightened out. Meanwhile, someone sent me this today, and I thought it was good enough to read on the air because it makes a lot of sense. And there are 25 great truths which we should be aware of. 25 truths or truisms. And I'm going to read them. I thought it would be fitting to read them on the air tonight. That's how interesting and good I thought most of them were. Number 1, this again comes to us from one of our emailers, but the quotes, of course, and the historical facts, of course, come from many sources. Number 1, in my many years, I have come to a conclusion that one useless man is a shame. 2 is a law firm, and 3 or more, would you venture a guess? Congress. That's right. How true. How true that is. Number 2, if you don't read the newspaper, you are uninformed. If you do read the newspaper, you are misinformed. Or should I add disinformed? Or both. Another truism. Number 3, suppose you were an idiot and suppose you were a member of Congress. But then I would be repeating myself. How do you like that? Am I getting a chuckle out there? Good. All right. Number 4, I contend that for a nation to try to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in front of a bunker and trying to lift himself up by the handle. Pretty true. Number 5, a government which robs Peter to pay Paul can always depend on the support of Paul. Now that is a truism. Election time's coming, huh? even though the elections are a farce generally, and they're rigged in most places today, we know that even if they weren't rigged and they were honest, there are more have-nots who are receiving from the haves, and they vote. And they vote. So government becomes the creature, you see, of the mob. Government becomes the creature of the mob. One man, one vote, one time. Huh? That's the name of the game. Regardless of all literacy, regardless of his status or her status, whether they work or not, whether they do anything useful or productive. Just those 5 alone makes for a very, very interesting introduction. Now, I think he's here. I believe, having said all of that with these truisms, we do have Charlie here, and even though he has his computer problems, he managed to join me right now. Is that you, Charles? Charles Neely?
Hey, shalom, my old friend.
How are you, Charles?
Somebody else got all the quarters out of the street.
What's that?
Somebody else got all the quarters and the pennies out of the street. I'm going to try to collect some of that and send to Israel.
Uh-huh. Now, how are you doing? You having problems with your computer?
Yeah, it done went down the computer and I'm looking at the hard drive and I had to put it. You know, it's finished.
Wow. I have to ask you a question, John. I have to ask you a question before we say anything else. And that is, I mean, I've heard about this Little Rock, where you're from, the area, Little Rock Airport Commission going to meet tomorrow to rename the airport in honor of Bill and Hillary Clinton. I suppose you're pretty happy with that decision.
I'm not going to get out of bed tomorrow when they do the ribbon cutting ceremony.
I didn't think you would want to be a part of that, right?
Well, they're not honoring him as for being the president. They're honoring him for his long term as governor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now, he did have a very short term as Attorney General between 1980, I think.
1880? Yeah.
Yeah. He was governor for one time, then lost. And that's when the other guy, I forgot his name, was governor between the year they brought in the Cuban refugees. And so he didn't last for 2 years, and then they had another election. During that time, Clinton ran for, I think, Attorney General. And when the other guy started to run again, I forgot his name. He's one of all the Cuban refugees that burned everything down around Fort Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill Clinton took advantage of the opportunity and put out a campaign ad negatively attacking his opponent. Gee, I wonder where I got that idea from.
I have no idea. But I know there was quite a pile of bodies now that turned up in Arkansas under Bill and Hillary's tenure, and a lot of them were people that apparently had some knowledge of the shenanigans going on with the Clintons and the drug running and planes coming in and out of MENA and all kinds of good stuff like that, honorable deeds. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so. But I can account for my whereabouts. I was locked up when all that was going on.
You were locked up, were you?
Oh, yeah. So I got a good alibi.
What was that?
Well, for those of y'all that's listening and don't know me, and for those of you who do know me, my name is Charles Neely. I've been a long time listener to the Rick Adams show when I was out there in the street when I was homeless.
That's right.
And I turned to alternative media because I got tired of nonsense coming from CNN and NBC and MSA and DEA or whoever. And long before I heard about the internet, Rick, I used to listen to you on shortwave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was all you guys.
Right. I remember.
Yeah. So, I began to see a different version of news that just wasn't coming out of, New York, and getting to the real news. And sometimes I just got to say that, it brought about an awakening. I was no longer part of the regular crowd now. I was part of the think for yourself crowd.
Well, now, I know we're up against our first break here, but when I come back, I guess we should begin by having you tell people a little bit about where you've been in your life and how you became homeless and how you have changed and you've grown and you've decided to run for Congress, the background that you've been through, what kind of fights that you have been in for your freedom and for America, and then why you're running against Tim Griffith. I'll play one of your commercials if you'd like from YouTube. So we'll give people a sample. How's that? Huh?
Yeah, we don't call his name, just initial scumbag.
All right. You hang on there. Charles Neely, our guest. We'll come right back in 3 minutes, folks, and right down to your local town and your local city government.
There isn't any point in arresting him if he happened to own the town council, the judge, and the marshal's office. Is there, Marshal?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it comes down to. And, Charlie, I want you right now to tell us a little bit about your background. And before you really started calling Republic Broadcasting and alternative media, what was it about you in your life? Now, you were a veteran, were you? And you had some problems as a result? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. I hope y'all can hear me better. Kind of like outside. And I don't like to do that on the phone because the ambulance come by every 3 seconds in this neighborhood. Like, if you hear me, go mute.
I can barely hear you, but go ahead. That's all right. We got to get you a good phone set up there so you can be audible when you campaign. Now that's the first step. But try to stay away a little bit from the microphone. Go ahead.
Oh, try to stay awake.
That's better. That's better. Yeah.
I thought you said try to stay awake.
Try to stay awake and awake. A little bit further back. That's fine. There you go. Go ahead, Charles. A good sense of humor.
I got it at arm's length, and I got a blanket over my head to keep the wind from hitting the microphone.
Sure.
Okay. Rick. I started with very humble beginnings. Originally, I'm from Mississippi, but I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I was born on December 25th, 1957.
1957, you said?
Yes, sir.
All right.
After midnight on Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. And I lived most of my life in Mississippi on a farm, so I know what the average hard-working farmer is going through. Because, trust me, when you got a grandfather that got 9 kids already, you don't sit on your butt all day. The grandkids will pitch in, too. Mm-hmm. After my grandfather passed away, me and my family moved from here and there in Mississippi, and I kind of got in with the wrong crowd and wound up doing some time.
You did some time, yeah.
Yes, sir. The Mississippi State Penitentiary at Parchman. It was about 90 minutes from Memphis. And from there, I drifted on to Memphis and stayed there for a few years and tried to stay out of trouble. Came to Arkansas where I was just trying to hitchhike and make a little cash money on one of these temporary day labor places and move on. And that's when the problem started when I got here to Arkansas.
How's that now?
Make a long story short on that, this state don't have no justice, and they never had it, and they don't even know what it means except for the crooked, good old boy of our political system.
There go the Clintons.
Yep. I'm going to tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This state sent me to do 5 years for a fight that I got into with another black man that nobody, at least whites, should care about in the state of Little Rock. I mean, the city in the state of Little Rock. But the prosecuting attorney wanted to make an example out of me, so we just quote him. And I wound up getting 5 years for that because the guy pulled a knife, I pulled a knife. It was just 2 homeless guys getting into it, and nobody should have cared. But see, under Arkansas law, and this is where I'm going with how I got my knowledge of legal law.
Yeah.
Under Arkansas law, right, they can file charges against you and let you go there and pick it back up for the end of the year. And that's how I got Shanghai. And I drifted around for a whole year, and next thing I know, that somebody been robbed a convenience store, and I just had to match the description. They picked me up. So here's the one. The police got woman half a block away, Rick, and came right back. Now what? They said, hey, you got another woman out on you. Now, this is back in 1985. Mm-hmm. So with those laptop computers, cars back then. And they found me guilty, Rick, and sent me to 5 years at the Arkansas Department of Correction at Cummings. Everybody probably heard that word before, Cummings Prison Bomb. My time at Cummings, Rick, was very short. You know why it was short?
Why is that?
Because I didn't like the way I was being treated down there. And I was tortured and, beaten up with nice sticks, stripped up naked and hosed down with pepper spray and everything else. I was fucking against the system. One reason I was mad because I was sentenced for 5 years just for a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I guess somebody didn't want to press charges. But the state will no, we're going to look at the crap out of you.
Uh-huh.
So I realized in that time I was down there how to make the system work for me. And I did that by studying the law book.
I see.
Especially Title 18, Criminal Rules and Civil Procedures of the United States Code of Annotated. And learn how to file lawsuits, Section 1883, which lets you file for anything that's a civil rights violation in nature.
Yeah,
But trust me, when I was down there, Rick, we filed a law over to get the system.
It was quite a learning experience for you to actually wind up in prison. You know, you're not alone. I know others that have had similar experiences, and actually it did produce some scholars. And you are a scholar. You are one of the scholars yourself from that experience you've had. Now, stay where you are, Charles,
yes, sir.
Because we'll come right back to you, and you have a lot of interesting things to say, folks. Stay with us. Charles Neely for Congress, and you can go to his website. When we return, we'll tell you how, and we'll play a little clip, too. Rick Adams, Uncensored.
Whatever needs to be done, we gotta do ourselves.
All right, we're back now with Charles Neely, and Charles is running for Congress, but first he's telling us about his ordeal going back to the 80s and his arrest and his bout with the law, repeated examples of trying to make an example out of him. And you wound up in prison now for how long? Was it 5 years, you said?
Yes, sir. I hope you can hear me. I'm holding the phone out at arm's length.
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit better. Yep.
I'm sorry if I'm a little angry, Rick, but when I think about what happened and the injustice,
go ahead.
It kind of brought out, the old me that my little guardian angel told me not to do.
Yeah.
Did you receive that package I sent the other day?
In the mail? You mean snail mail?
Email.
I did receive. I've received several things from you. Yes.
Right, that video. I did
yes.
Sunday. Okay.
I believe so. Yeah.
Well, did you get that picture I sent you of me and this very short little lady?
I'm not sure. That I don't recall. No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll get back to that later. Here's what. Sorry. Drop something. Here's what I'm going with why I started standing up for justice. Not just for me, Rick, but it's not about me. It's about others that I see out here, and some of them got their head hanging down, and I am so glad that I had the stubbornness to understand what my rights were and what my constitutional rights were. At the time, that was about as new to me as a Prius in 1885. Prius car. So I was taught how to file lawsuits, how to write briefs, summary, motion of writ of mandamus, and all that good stuff that jailhouse lawyers know. And I probably filed a whole bunch of lawsuits, but the only lawsuit I ever won was not against the Department of Corrections, it was against the Sheriff's Department. Make a long story short, I asked for some of my police records or prison records at the county jail, and make a long story short, one of the deputies in charge of that department said that as a convicted felon, you're no longer entitled to records that only the public can enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw it back to him. I said, under this section here, blah, 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 I said, it says I can't access the records, period. I said, it doesn't matter about my status. So this was a challenge, Rick. My very first challenge against the system. I didn't get no money out of it, but what I did get was a little payback. And it felt good when I went to the courtroom. There was a judge, there was a prosecuting attorney for the county, and then there was the sheriff deputy in charge of the records department. And, man, we knocked it out and got it on. In a courtroom of 5 people.
Exactly.
And the judge, he went around now, and the prosecuting attorney tried to shut me up. He's not qualified to speak in his own defense, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I don't know. We'll release some records.
You went in pro se.
Yes, sir. Both sides. I'm glad you put that part in there. And that was the only victory I had, but it wasn't against the Father Greg. But it's still good to know that I can utilize the tactic that was, excuse me, I had to cough. That I can utilize the tactic that was used against me to throw it back on them.
Yes, you reverse the tables on them.
Yes,
Sure.
sir. It felt good. I didn't get no monetary damages out of it, but a week later, a fat envelope from the Pulaski County Sheriff Department arrived in the county jail. I mean, at the penitentiary. And that's why I learned how to pretty much learn to stand up for myself, Rick.
Now, was it after that experience in prison when you were out that you had become homeless?
Okay. Well, I was okay. I got out back in 1990, March of 1990, and Rick, I'm gonna tell you something. I was on the street for a while, but I found some work, and back then, did nobody bother asking you, can you work? And most of the jobs I usually did was kind of like landscaping and stuff like that. So, back then, most landscapers didn't care as long as you can bend that elbow.
Right.
And things were pretty good, but what happened, Rick, was a personal problem. And the personal problem was, thanks to Bill Clinton, was that I was staying in this cheap rooming house, and I was working for myself, Rick. I wasn't dependent on the system or anything.
You're working for yourself, yeah.
Yes, sir. And, my life was meager and everything, but it was my life. Right. And what happened, some gang members came up into this old cheap rooming house that I was staying in, and it was, went to the back of the kitchen and started cooking up crack cocaine. Crack was epidemic back then.
Yeah.
And they were trying to find a place where they can go ahead and sort it out. An empty room or something. So they were kicking doors in to find out what room was empty so they can go in there and cook it up.
Yeah.
And I'm in the restroom, with a long story short, washing my clothes out. I had to go to work the next day. I'm thinking, what's going on here? I look at the door, man. They go down the hallway and they stopped by my door and kicked it in. I'm thinking, what in the same hell? I said, hey, guys, I said, please don't do that. So we had some break-ins. I already knew what he was, and one of the guy's partners, now here's what I'm going with this, Mr. Living America. One of the guy's partners said, hey, man, he's stepping up to you, dude. Don't let him do that. He's disrespecting you. I said, oh, boy, another ignorant head. I said, why do I always got to run into these guys? Mm-hmm. The guy said, hey, man, he stepped back. I said, hey, I pay rent here, dude. I don't have to step back for anything. And so I got tired of him, grabbed him, threw him down, and started beating on him without even thinking about it. And my mistake was letting the guy live.
Your mistake was letting him live, huh?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
I took out of the penitentiary. I didn't want no static from nobody. I already had a chip on my shoulder. And in the bay, ran out the room house, and he said, when I come back, you're going to be dead. Now, here's what I'm going with this here that led me to be homeless. I got to think about what he said. I said, well, it will be back. Those are gang members.
Yeah.
And they came back about 5 deep. Now, that's funny for, they was all in a group. And they said, what room is it in? So by that time, I had already left out my room, in another room, watched them go in, and one of them had a pistol. I guess the plan was to hold the pistol on me while the rest of them beat me down. Yeah. So what happened, Rick, was I wasn't in the room. I was in another room across the hall. We watched them go in. They came out and realized he ain't here, and I was there. But what happened was I stepped out the hallway with a big old can of pepper spray. I brought the gun show.
Pepper spray? Yeah.
Yes, sir. If it was good enough for me, the Arkansas Department of Corrections, good enough for street gang members. I was a big kid too, Rick. I brought in the gun show. And and they all ran like rats, man. Except for one, the guy that had the gun. He's still staying there. As I'm spraying everybody down, they running.
Well, yeah,
you can't see. He coughing and gagging out the mouth, but he ain't got no sense of rhythm, right? And I mean, I can't even see. I got so much pepper spray all up in the hallway. He fired off 2 shots. One of them hit me in the stomach, and one of them went in the wall. And next thing I was down on the ground. And somebody called the police, and it's by the grace of the Father himself, Rick, that he let me live. Mm-hmm. Because at that time I was not living a godly lifestyle,
No. Well, we understand.
And
Here's
what I'm doing now. Days later I recovered. I didn't know I was going to make it or live, and I was in a pit of blackness while I was unconscious. I didn't know what my body was or anything. That's when I told you, Rick, in a letter or in the video, I said this would have spiritual significance.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And I was lost, man. When they put that oxygen mask on me, I didn't know if I was going to survive it.
You came back from the dead, Charles.
Well, a friend of mine who loved the Lord very much told me, he said, what happened was the angel of death had you in his grip. I said, I knew I was alive, but I didn't know where I was at because I couldn't see, I couldn't feel nothing. And he said, based on, the way he felt, that he was telling me that somebody was praying very hard for you. They were making up trees for the Lord himself.
Sure.
Not to take.
Sure. Well, that's why you're here now. You survived all of that. You came out of it. And the angel of death was countermanded.
Well, Rick, I'm going to tell you something. You want to know something?
What?
The doctors told me that if the police hadn't got there first, somebody called the police. And back then, Rick, the police had come to the black window.
As fate would have it, yeah.
We're talking early 90s, man. This was an epidemic of shooting.
It is amazing you're here today to tell this story. It is just amazing. That tells me reams.
Well, I can laugh about it, but
what a story! What a story! And in brief summation. And here you are today now in 2012, and I know you've been calling this program for, I guess, almost as long as I've been on, and you have been quite alert and astute in your observations. And I have to ask you now, what in the world possessed you to get involved politically? A lot of people don't want to do that, but you did it. And what made you take that shot and put your name there, your John Hancock on there on the nomination papers, go out and try to get signatures, and then get a little campaign together? It takes a lot of bravery for you to do that.
Well, I was getting to the part where I was homeless, and when everything happened to me, I was homeless. See,
Yeah.
Rick, when I recovered, and the landlord, see, this is what I'm trying to get to with everybody that's listening. I know personal tragedy. When I got back to the place that I stayed, the landlord locked me out because I couldn't pay no rent because I was laid up about 2 weeks, with a gunshot wound.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was on the street now for the first time in my life, and I just felt sorry for myself, Rick, and just drifted and didn't try to straighten up and didn't try to go find work. And it was almost a year before I could properly hold food in my intestines. Because at first I thought maybe they gave some AIDS-infected blood. I hate getting this personal on a family show, Rick, but I couldn't hardly hold food in.
Yeah.
So, see, the doctor took out my bile duct. They left the bullet
Bile
in my
duct,
back.
yeah.
Yes, sir. It was a 32 caliber bullet. If that boy had something a little bit more powerful, this radio show still would have went on, and you never would have heard about me.
Right. Isn't that amazing, huh?
Well,
that is a testimony in itself. Amazing.
Well, yes, it is. But
It
I'm going to tell you a little story,
indeed.
though. One of the guys that was involved in that little raid in my apartment died later, about a year later, in a shootout at a liquor store. Him and his buddy went up and to rob somebody, and the guy just looked at him for a second. He's like, give me all your money. Thought about it. They reached behind the counter and pulled out 2 pistols and got the blast. I said, well, poetic justice. He was trying to make it to begin with. A friend of mine told me about it. You remember that guy one of them guys that shot you up here? He died in a shootout at the liquor store. I said, why am I not surprised?
Yeah, and for some reason, you see, you're here today to tell all of this, and you are a true survivor. That tells me a lot because I've heard similar situations from people from all walks of life who have undergone the same thing. And, you're here for a reason, and you're serving a purpose, and now we can see one of the big purposes is that you won't sit still. You won't be quiet. You're speaking out, and I assume that the sitting Congressman, Tim Griffith, probably views opposition like yourself as a little fly, a little irritant, a little fly in the ointment that he feels he can well afford to ignore. That's probably the way he looks at you or anyone else who doesn't have a multi-million-dollar budget to campaign against him. Would that be true or not? Would that be a good characterization?
Well, Rick, I'm going to tell you a little story. What happened to define me, my moment of standing up for myself. What happened was that after I was walking around here with dreadlocks and wearing 4 and 5 coats and needing a bath, and here's what defined me to start to stand up for myself and just put that legal knowledge to good use. I was in front of the post office over by the Clinton Library about 7 years ago. Looking in the trash can for something to eat, anything, you know. And two of Little Rock Founders rolled up on me on a bike, bike patrol. To my hey, you need to put that back in there. It was two lady cop. And I'm thinking, they're just doing this because they want a little manpower. And I said, they're just a half-eaten sandwich, if you don't mind. Let me brush these ants off of it, and I'll eat it. Then I can take it to jail. And she started saying something, but our partner just looked at her and said, This ain't worth the paperwork. And I'm going to tell you something how God works in mysterious ways, Rick. And if you allow me to get to this, I'm going to try to lower the fight your battle for you. So I got the huffing and puffing, gotten mad, thinking about, how they treated me and stuff, to give me a recipe for eating a salad thrown in the trash can. And at that time, the internet was in full swing, but not everybody could afford it. It was available at the libraries. North Little Rock, Arkansas, is a separate city. It was one of the first libraries to have the internet. Get back to that later. A guy came up to me in the park when I was, huffing and puffing and had my arms stretched out on the bench. He said, hey, man, I've been checking you out. I said, big deal. He said, you good with the computer. I kind of noticed that. I said, look, I be playing games when the staff ain't looking. At that time, you couldn't play games on the computer because of the
Yeah.
So he said, but you also got something else. He said, you got that spark, that spirit of independence. He said, why don't you write something and put it up on the internet and tell everybody how they treat the homeless here in Little Rock? I said, what are you talking about? He said, you got a lot of smarts in you. And you just can't see it. Sometimes he running around, and just passing out leaflets demanding better rights. And he left and said, why don't you think about it? And Rick, I got slapped upside the head by divine providence. And I thought about it, went to the library, sat down in front of a word processing station, which wasn't, internet connected, but you typed out the document. And I typed out a letter. That's all I wanted to be, just one letter to say how Little Rock was. And I put it up on, at that time, GeoCities.
GeoCities. Well, that's how you got in the experience of the computers. And
yes.
Yeah, we'll come back and take a break for a few moments, folks. Charles Neely, our guest, and you know him as Rabbi John. He wants to be a congressman. Now, we'll take some calls a little bit later. Stay with us.
Enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Okay, we're back. Now we hear the computer-savvy John, Charles Neely from Arkansas, running for Congress. And now you've really gone from video games to the real thing, huh, Charles?
Yes, sir. The time for games was over with, and I was divinely inspired by that gentleman who came up to me in the park and told me that. Excuse me, I can't open my balcony window up right quick. That's that noise you hear. And I think I got them open now. And what he told me was good information. And check this out, Rick. He was one of the biggest dope dealers in Pine Bluff. I'm telling me to make a change for the homeless and the poor.
He was one of the biggest dope dealers, huh?
Yes, sir. He was Intel.
Wow.
Oh, did the fact that he was a cop, ex-cop, kind of help?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, as you said, the corruption runs far and deep there. And, it's not just there, as you can imagine. It's just about everywhere. Our society. Our society is endemic with it, my friend. I want to play now, if you would permit me. Let me see if I can play the spot that you came up with on your website. And I thought it was pretty good. Here, let's see if we can bring it up.
Sure, don't act. Just get my permission. Don't act.
Because Tim Griffin's let jobs leave Arkansas. If we stand by while Tim takes an all-expense-paid Israeli pack-lobby money trips to support Israel, that is real job representing them. Does Tim works for us? Who does he serves? Certainly not Arkansans. It no wonder Arkansas Americans are broke. Because Tim's not working on our behalf, we won't be able to support to ourselves.
Well, I think That's pretty neat, you know. Who did that now? Did you have a little help?
I want to say one thing, Rick. I asked everybody divine protection because Tim Griffin may knock me off, but he won't be able to get to that person that did the voiceover. You know why?
Why is that?
Because that person that did the voiceover don't exist.
Well, that's sweet.
It's all computer generated.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I know that. It wasn't my voice.
Well, Tim Griffin, if you're listening, that person don't exist.
Now, that's on YouTube, folks, by the way. And wouldn't it be nice if you had the kind of support that could buy those spots and put them on television? Wouldn't that be something, Charles? Huh?
It would let me have a counterbalance so that people can find out really whom does Tim Griffin serve. As a matter of fact, Rick, I live in a low-income apartment there, and he wants to pass a bill, as a matter of fact, to have these cell phone that was distributed by the cell phone company taken away from the poor and the elderly. Because I'm going to tell you something. A few years ago, a friend of mine had one of these government food cell phones, and he was walking the streets out here late at night, like it is now, and he felt, some chest pain. Rick, there are no payphones anywhere in the city of Little Rock.
No, well, they're hard to find now anywhere,
yes,
you know.
Sir. If he hadn't had one of these, food stamp cell phones, he got on the phone and called 911. They said, "Where are you?" And he told them where he was. And when he saw the ambulance coming down the street, because it was Godfrey later, he took the cell phone, waved up like a lantern. Yeah. And man, he got some instant medical attention immediately. He was taken to the hospital, and they told him, "Guess what? You don't have a heart problem. You just got chest congestion." But if he hadn't had it, they would have found his body the next day if it had been something real serious.
Yeah.
So, Tim Griffin, I guess you don't want people to call 911 when there's an emergency, when they got bad health or when they have a heart attack.
Indeed, indeed. All right, we got a minute now, a minute for the ID. And folks, remember to support Republic Broadcasting Network with your contributions and your prayers. Rick Adams, Uncensored. We'll be right back with Charlie Neely, and we'll invite a call or two as well.
The Radio Avenger gets even better. Live, uncensored, Radio Free America. Another exciting, informative hour is warming up. Rick Adams is on fire.
Yes. Hey, we're talking with Charlie Neely, and Charlie is trying to get some action in his congressional district. Which congressional district of Arkansas is that now? Again, Charles.
Yes, sir. It's the Arkansas, the second district of Arkansas.
And how many congressional districts do you have in Arkansas?
There are 4.
There are only 4,
1,
huh?
2, 3, and the governor, who's a tough Republican in disguise, redrawn the district so that it will be less black people. Well, I hate to play the race card, but why mess with art? I play the race card. Hey, Mike Beebe, you scumbag.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this now, Charles. Now, we got an idea of where, you're coming from, your background, your being reborn, so to speak, and coming to the Lord. What is it about the Congress that you think personally, or you would be campaigning on as far as issues are concerned? What would you be addressing Griffin on as far as his support? Now, we know about Israel. We know about being a stoolie for the Israeli lobby. They all are, basically. But beside all of that, what issues concerning the government, the federal government, and its encroachment on our liberties would you address here that you think are of paramount importance to any campaign? Tell us what you stand for now. Not what he stands for, but what you personally would stand for.
Oh, yes, sir. One of the things that I truly know about a lot, Rick, is freedom and what it's like to be locked up and what it's like to have handcuffs that they left on you for hours at a time.
Yeah.
You butt naked in a cell, and they turn the air conditioner on in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
People, I've been to it, so I already know. They can't do nothing to me that hasn't been done. So I know it's like to get hit in the rib cage with a nightstick, while they got your handcuff behind your back to make you stand still up against the wall. bill called the National Detention Authorization Act. Am I correct?
Yep. The NDAA,
Yes, sir. That's when I got flared up. I wasn't thinking about trying to get back into the running for the race again, but when I knew that scumbag, and I ain't calling his name out, just his initial, Tim Griffin, when I knew he would do that, I kind of figured that he would. There's a video I got up on YouTube when I'm at the Tea Party rally with Dick Morris and stuff. And when it was over, I saw Tim Griffin ran to him like a little left dog. I said, hey, Tim, how about that debate? That was back in 010, Mr. and Mrs. America. I'm kind of busy right now. Look here, I want you to go ahead and stand up. I'm trying to get the guy into a debate, and he don't want to do it. He want to scram and, move around and get away from me. I don't have it on film, I'm sorry. But the guy is terrified of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to know it, Jim, if you're listening. Because, see, you are against liberty. I am for liberty because I've been confined and locked up in a dungeon. And now he wants all of America to experience what I experienced, Rick. Let me ask you, Mrs. America, do you realize that this bill that Tim Griffin co-signed on, couldn't wait to co-sign on, said that the military can arrest you right now. Me too. But now, everybody's asleep, Rick. They've been drinking that fluoridated Kool-Aid, and they don't seem to realize that this is the guy that came to the state capitol about a month ago to redeclare his candidacy and sign the paperwork again to run for Congress. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
Not surprising, though. All right.
We'll come back. I can't stand down and let this happen, man.
Sure. You got a question for our guest? Dial us up right now, folks. 800-313-9443. Charlie Neely for Congress. We'll come right back.
What have you done? Thousands of years of building and rebuilding, creating and recreating so you can let it crumble to dust. 1,000,000 years. The sensitive men dying for their dreams. For what? So you can swim and dance and play.
All righty, folks. You may go to the website now. It should be up, and that's www.neely, Neely, number 4, Congress 2012.info. Is that right, Charles?
You are correct, sir.
That's the website now. Okay, it's up. All right, people can see some of what we've been talking about all along. So now, having your first-hand experience, that is, with the police state in America, you would what? You'd vote to repeal. You'd vote to repeal the NDAA. What about the Patriot Act, Charles?
Yes, sir. I want to say one other thing, too, Rick. I want to thank you for taking this time out to, because I realize radio time is very expensive. And for nobody like me, just to grace your guest slot is something I can thank the Lord himself for, because you are a man of conviction. And you, see, Rick, you got this disease that I got, that Dr. K's got. It's called freedom. John Stanfield got it, too. It's called freedom, people. If you don't have freedom, you ain't got nothing. God comes first, and freedom comes later.
You hit that on the head, the nail right there. So you would be willing to take a call or two. Folks, if you have a question for our guest, Charles, by all means do so. Dr. K has made an offer as well. For those who feel inclined to do so at this time, if you wish to support this man's effort, what Dr. K has proposed doing is me sending you his kit of books for free, okay? You don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is make a donation to the Neely for Congress venture, and you can do that online. You can do that. You go right to his site and make a contribution for his effort. The man is certainly doing something. He's doing more than most people who just talk and don't do anything. And if they do, we'll send them a kit. Just give us your address. Show us you've given him $20 or more, and we will give you the kit and delivery of that kit at no charge of his book. So the first 5 people that do so will receive their kit if you contribute to Charles here in his campaign. Neely for Congress in Arkansas, in the district that he is in against Tim Griffith. And let me get back to you now. By the way, if you want to chime in, folks, you can dial me right now. Dial us at 800-313-9443. I have a question for Charles. Do it quickly now. Charles, let me get back to all this legislation. Just the police state, as you know, 911 was a hoax to begin with. And what followed was the Patriot Act, so-called. What would you do first if you were in the Congress? How would you address these issues? Would you first go after the Patriot Act, or what? What would you do?
Rick, I'm glad you hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to charge my phone up and look at Rick. Here's what I want to say. As a newly elected congressman from Arkansas, in the second congressional district, with a newly elected president by the name of Ron Paul, I will work with Ron Paul to make sure that, he got that same disease I got, freedom. He loves freedom. And I salute him for his service to his country, and I can work with him. He's a Republican, and I don't believe in party loyalty. I would be more than willing to work with under his administration to make sure. The first thing I would like to do, I would like to propose to, and listen to Mr. and Mrs. America, let's make this happen. Charles D. as congressman and Ron Paul as president can work together. We can probably work wonders. I would like to propose that, first of all, we knock out the Patriot Act, which is unconstitutional, and we knock out the NDA Act. And second of all, Rick, we clear out all the federal prisoners and get rid of everybody that got first-time offenses for drug use, like marijuana, so we have room for the rest of the member of Congress. That's what I would propose to a President Ron Paul and his administration.
Yeah.
And you can take that to the bank.
Uh-huh.
We need to clear out that prison space, Rick.
Well, I mean, the drug, so-called drug war is a fraud by itself, as you have been familiar with, and you experienced it firsthand. The people with the drugs, the pushers, and so forth. The people that are pushing the drugs are doing so because of the demand, which, of course, because of the illegality of it, has forced the price beyond purchasing power, and the means of people who do it, and they go out and rob and steal and beat up people and take and commit crimes and so forth. Right? You saw that. You know what it's all about.
Yes, sir. I understand. I've been in prison and I've been in there with drug dealers. But see, I would like to propose to President Ron Paul and his administration that we give a general amnesty to first-time offenders who just had an ounce of weed. So they're taking a prison, this stage, Rick, that need to be reserved for members of Congress.
Right.
We can make it happen, people. Let's do it.
Yep.
Ron Paul, 2012, and Charles Hill in 2012.
All right, Charles, are you ready to take a few phone calls? Let's do it. We have a few people that want to speak to you, and let's take them right now. Let's begin our calls with Blue in Tennessee. Hello, Blue. Come on up.
Hello, gentlemen. Hey, I just wanted to give an inspirational story that I hope that will pump Charles up. In 2010, I helped support a gentleman. His name is Brian Moneyhan. He was running for county commissioner at large in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And we ran a campaign on $30. We recycled signs that were put out that were not picked up. We painted them, and we just took a black magic marker, and we wrote Brian Moneyhan for county commissioner at large. Brian worked very hard at senior communities. I mean, to the point that he brought his bongo drums out to go play for the belly dancers that were senior belly dancers at this particular one nursing home.
Uh-huh.
And we almost acquired 30% of the vote. Granted, we didn't win, but it was the first time that someone that was of the unchosen person from the Republican Party had actually gotten that far. And so he and I, hand in hand, we walked into the Republican Party's celebratorial celebration, and we were treated like rock stars.
You were treated like rock stars, huh?
Yes, because nobody had ever challenged them.
Yeah, that's true. It's the small things, small things that confound the wise, you see?
Right. So, whether you win or whether you don't, you still walk in there and you hold your head up high.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to know who you are. And the next time they may not win. And my candidate was the most unconventional candidate on the face of the earth. He was the greatest hippie, made his own clothes, walked his own walk, had a beard down to his chest, and hair down to almost to his hips. So he was totally out of their scope of comprehension. But by golly, they all knew who he was when he walked in that room, and they came up and they shook his hand as well as shaking my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be done. It just takes little steps. And I've been so thoroughly impressed with what's happening across the United States with those that are Ron Paul delegates, that they are taking control of the Republican Party in their local area. Will they ever say it nationally? No. But it is happening across the United States. So we just have to stand dual diligent to what the message is. And if you send your child to public school, as I do, I send my children to public schools to educate the teachers and the children. Because they know the truth.
Right, right. Well, you have a receptive ear here in Charles. Sounds like music to your ears, doesn't it, Charlie?
Yes, sir. It's not all about glamour and glitz and, and having a paid audience to clap their hand when you speak in front of a stage or a podium like Mitt Romney and this Rick Santorum guy. Let me tell you something, Rick.
Yeah.
We got to take control of this government. I'm sorry to put it like this.
Well, it's a grassroots opposition to all of this, and that's the only way it can begin. Not going to come from the top down, that's for sure. Comes from the bottom up.
Well, but we need a spiritual awakening too, because the people are lost. And I told a guy the other day, with the exercise my petition, make a long story short, he said, I can't do that, man, I'm a fella. I said, hey, you're talking to a fella. I said, fella can't run for office, right? Well, I had him, Rick.
Good for you. All right, thank you very much, Blue, for your call. We have to move on. We have other callers and may have a surprise or two. But, folks, we will return with Charles Neely, Rabbi John, as he calls himself. We, of course, will do that in 3 minutes. Stay with us.
Can man control his destiny? Can he change the shape of things to come?
All right, we are back now, and we got a few more calls, and I think we may have Dr. K come in on this last half hour as well to join us. And don't forget, we do have that offer. If you want to support Neely for Congress, go right on his website and make a contribution. Make a contribution of $20 or more for Congress, and we'll give you the kit. If you get 5 of them, if we get the first 5, we can supply kits to for free. Okay, we'll just ship them out to you. Give us your address. But let me take another call right now. Dean in New York is up next with Charles Neely. Hello, Dean.
Hello, Rick. Hello, Mr. Neely. Charles, how you doing?
You're welcome, sir.
Hey, if I could, I'm currently trying to run for office myself.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. Go ahead. Mention yourself.
Yeah, I'm thinking of running for sheriff. And is Charles in Arkansas?
Yes, he is. He's in
Little Rock.
All right. Now, if I may, I've been talking to some consultants, and I'd like to share some information that I got from a consultant, political consultant that's run. He ran Beebe's campaign.
Beebe?
No, he didn't run it. He was a part of it,
Butcher.
okay? All right, I don't want to drop any names. I don't want to let anyone know who I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm going to just give you a few of the notes that he told me.
Go ahead.
First thing you have to do is make a FOIL request. You're going to FOIL request. You're going to get a copy on a disk of every voter in your district, okay? And you're going to put it on a computer, and so you'll have every address of every voter in your district, number one. Number two, he said, you're going to have to go out to all of the black churches and make yourself very well known. Get as many contacts as you can in the churches. Get the churches working for you if you can. The next thing he said that was really important is that you have to go to every barbecue, picnic, veterans club, American Legion. You have to be out there every weekend. You should be going to a minimum of 5 to 8 outings a week. He said you should do that many in a weekend. Okay, so you have to go out there and shake hands and get the message out. And you also need a staff. One of the things you can try to do is to contact your your local university, and there's going to be a department head of political science. You can approach him or her and say, "I'm running a campaign, and I'd like your advice. Could tell me about the demographics of the area and the voters, and I'd also like to perhaps use some of your students to give them some time to work in a campaign, political science students, so they can have some experience working in a campaign, and you can get some free help to go out and put boots on the ground." And I got some more, but I know you got other callers waiting.
Well, no,
Rick.
that's nice. That's nice of you, Charlie. Any reaction to all of these suggestions now?
I'm writing them down now as we speak, and trust me, everything he said was not just empty air.
Yeah, you got to get that FOIL request first.
As a matter of fact, Rick, I want to say something. I went to the state election clerk and paid those folks for a CD copy, and they've been stalling ever since.
They've been stalling.
Yeah. They keep. Well, see, the person in charge of putting it on a CD and giving it to me, they said, "We'll have it ready for you one day, Mr. Neely." And it's been over 2 weeks now, and I called the office yesterday, and they said, Friday. They said, well, the person in charge of that, they out in the district.
Yeah, until after the election.
They're probably giving me my CD.
You keep on them, Charles. You keep on them. And here in New York, they took them. I got it in 2 days. They literally got me that CD in 2 days.
Dean, that's the thing that I like about Charles and everybody else out there in your own hamlets that are running is that you make noise because it's the squeaky wheel, as you know, that gets the grease. If you don't say anything and you don't complain and you don't do it, nobody's going to do it for you, and nobody's going to hear you. So you make the noise and you cause a ruckus. And, some of these critters in Congress have been leaving in record numbers, not running again, because of the noise that's being made in their home district. So,
I
every
agree.
little bit counts.
I agree. And if I may add just one more thing about the ballot process.
Go ahead.
Hey, Charles, are you on the ballot yet? Officially on the ballot?
Let me
How's your ballot petition going?
Wait a minute. Hold on, Dean. Let him answer.
Sir.
Go ahead.
Let me explain how it works real quick. In Arkansas, if you're a party member, you pay your money, maybe you're on the ballot. But if you're independent, no, you got to go get some signatures. Now, once I bring them in May 1st, I'll be on the ballot. But
To run as an independent. Right.
Okay, yeah, because they really make it hard for independents.
Oh, positively. That's the system. See? That's the corruption, the party system.
Sure. Here in New York, you have something like about 4 weeks to collect for the office of congressman in the 27th district.
Yeah.
You would need approximately 3,500 signatures.
Right.
And here's the thing: after you collect all those signatures, one of the parties, Democrat, Republican, whoever's most influential in your district, is going to try to oppose every signature. They're going to try to knock it down. It's a common political practice, okay? That's why it's so important to get that voter list, Because when you do your petition drive, you got to check each and every one and make sure you got every I dotted and every T crossed, because if it doesn't match, they're going to take that signature off, and it's going to be one less that you have. And thank you for the time, Rick.
Yeah,
and,
thank you,
and
good luck in your
call.
campaign as well. And keep in touch, keep us informed,
Yes,
keep the work up. All right, take a break,
Rick,
folks.
You just described Cajun, Rick. That's what Tim Griffin was known for.
All right, stay tuned. We'll take another call or two, and we'll come back in 3 minutes, folks.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network.
All right, we're back now. Neely for Congress is our guest, Charlie Neely. And let's see now. I don't know if this is a serious call or not, but we have Vision. Is it Vision from Virginia? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, Vision. Are you serious, or are you just playing games here?
Serious.
Okay, go ahead. You got a question or a comment?
I was going to say hello, Rick, and congratulations, Charlie, for
good
finding Christ.
Amen.
And maybe you can bring the rest of us to freedom and away from this tyranny that we live under. Ron Paul won in Virginia.
Yeah, we know.
I was there. They switched the vote. And now they're having a trial at Virginia Tech where they shot the students so they can put in backdoor gun control. They had the legislation drawn up before the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
There's thousands of people on the list that can't buy firearms. We're in for a storm, brother. Thanks, Charlie, for running.
Well, appreciate your call. I mean, for a moment, I didn't know you were serious or not, but I understand the nature of the name you use now. Hopefully you call again. Thank you. Appreciate that, Vision. All right, let's move on to, hold on now, Mike, we got another call here? All right, we do have one more call I want to bring up, and then I think we may have Dr. K on the line as well. And the caller, by the way, is Tom in Wisconsin. Hello, Tom. You're up. Tom, our guy.
Hello, Rick. Greetings to you and your guest tonight. I've done a lot of research and a lot of reading and a lot of listening and debating in my own mind about what the solution is here. And I think the solution here is that we need to dismantle this monstrosity that is the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And really the only way that it can be effectively done is for all of the up-and-coming politicians or those that seek to hold political office connected with the current establishment. What they must do is they must start promoting the idea to those that follow their work of state nationality. We have to get rid of U.S. citizenship because, as I'm sure you're aware, Rick, it was set up to create debt slaves. And Lincoln was a major party to this situation that we now find ourselves in.
Yeah.
But it goes back further than that as far as the agenda goes, as you're well aware, and I'm sure your guest is too. But, the People's Awareness Coalition, L.B. Bork, the Red Amendment, that information is out there, and I think the People's Awareness Coalition and the society that they're trying to build within each state's, territory is one of the silver bullets that we can use to finally tear apart this monster and then replace it with true representation of the states in a contractual arrangement that is essentially what the Articles of Confederation were and supposedly the Constitution, the original one, not the one in the Army War Archives, actually, the original one that was signed by the people we call the founders of the country. And I will leave the floor to you and your guest to discuss those ideas.
Well, all right, but let me just have Charles respond to all of what you just said. Charlie, you heard him. What do you think?
Well, kind of hard to follow behind that one, but I agree with the brother there, and that these people, I know I want to go there.
His point is spent. I mean, it's well taken. I mean, I come at this from different directions, as you know.
Okay.
But my thought is that, you can vote yourself into bondage, but you can't vote yourself out. It's very difficult historically. I don't know of any examples, maybe one or two here or there, but when people become, America is somewhat unique in the world scene. When people become angry enough and determined enough, they can make it difficult enough for the criminals that are in there to want to remain in office. And we saw what happened when people really get wound up and they hire a gunman, as what happened in the case of Gabriel Giffords. And we don't want to see it come to that. We want to see, replacement. We want to see getting back to colony, getting back to states, getting back to freedom, and decentralizing the government, getting this federal government back down to size. No matter what way it takes, it has to be done. But there's no question that your goals, Tom, as you've stated them, are absolutely the goals of the framers and the original colonies, and they're goals that should be implemented morally, politically, economically, and it's not easy, but that should be our vision for America. You're right. That's my comment, and I know that Brother Neely here, in his heart of hearts, feels the same way. All right, thank you. Thank you, Tom. We're going to bring up, Dr. K is on the line now. He's just joining us. Dr. K, join Charlie Neely, Rabbi John on the line.
Hi there, John, Charlie, and Neely all together. How are you doing?
Dr. K, I'm glad you're doing this tonight because there's some things I want to say about Muslims and Islam.
Sure, go ahead.
My best friend, the lady that brought me the camera that I used for my campaign footage, is a Muslim. She's from Pakistan. And through her, I learned a lot about her culture, her world. There are pictures of her and me on Facebook, on my Facebook page. And this was a so-called terrorist, Rick and Dr. K, that paid me. She gave me a $10 meal ticket because it was during the month of Ramadan. And she was fasting anyway.
Wow.
I guess terrorists feed starving homeless people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I find it completely a scheme and a plot by world Jewry to distract attention from their criminal acts by convincing, and they've successfully done this, convincing about 200 million Americans that somehow Muslims are really bad news and that we got to go get them. And so, when in real life, you don't find that. You don't find it in the Middle East. You don't find it here. You don't find any, look, let's be frank about it. You're a Griffin guy. He's an Israeli apologist, right?
We don't call his name out. This is initial. Scumbag.
Yeah.
He's one of the boys, or should I say one of the goy.
Yeah. Total treason. Israel did 9/11 as the foot soldiers for these huge cabals, Rothschild, Rockefeller, Oppenheimer. We've heard from Art on the Annenberg-Asher contribution. And these guys are behind blowing up that whole New York City section and killing all those people and then blowing up the buildings on their corpses. And a guy like you, has a little Muslim woman supporting you by as your backbone. I mean, that has to be really respected, that the Muslim people are doing what they can, where they can. I know that they said that if they vote for Ron Paul, they don't want anybody to know about it because they don't want to hurt his chances. You know what I'm saying? That's how scandalized they've become. So.
Well, Dr. K, I'm going to tell you something else, too. I met this woman who 7 years ago, and all we do is write each other back and forth through email and stuff like that. And at no time did she try to invite me or convert me or anybody. I call her my sister. She calls me her brother.
Wow.
And I met this lady when she showed up to feed the homeless. She was volunteer work, and at the time when I looked at her, I thought she was kind of Chinese looking, but she wasn't. She was from Bangladesh. I just simply walked up to her, struck a relationship with her, and she said her and her husband, here in America, going to school. As a matter of fact, a lot of so-called Muslims, Dr. Rick, came down here to feed us, doctors from India, and because they understand suffering in their own countries, and they always, some of them were Muslims, some of them were Sheiks, and they're Rick, terrorists feeding the homeless in America.
Yeah, I know. I just want to add that, the Quran talks to the Christians and Muslims together, and it says that you two have a lot in common, so find what you've got in common and work together. I mean, that's very, very beautiful. We do have a common enemy. I know some people are going to call and try to counter that sometimes, but the common enemy is the total world Zionist government. My God, what a horrifying enemy it is. And so if your political candidate is supporting that, then if you can gather the troops around yourself and get people to be aware that he's a traitor, I think that this is great.
Well, it's amazing. Let me just interject for your benefit, Charlie and Dr. K. In my area, my state, many years ago, they sort of scoffed because a man who came along who never was well educated. He was never a collegiate type of person, but he was a house painter, right? He was a painter. He was a laborer. And he came along and he campaigned against the incumbent for Congress. And he came along at the right time with the right sentiment, and he won. He won the office. And even he was somewhat amazed that he was able to win because of the anti-incumbent sentiment. He wasn't well educated. He was not, one of the brilliant orators of our time, but he was honest in his heart. He was honest and sincere, and he served the district for several terms. And I have to say that it has been done in many communities where my voice is reaching in the United States, that people out there listening know of somebody like that who was not a lawyer, was not an accountant, was not some fat cat executive of a big firm or college professor or someone with all of the degrees behind his name, but someone who was a commoner, a common ordinary person. Not a Philadelphia lawyer, but a farmer. Didn't we have somebody like that in the beginning of this nation? Farmer, sure, gentlemen. And that's what counts.
Yeah, that's why they started rigging the votes, in the Victorian times, because little by little they said, no, we can't have these straight shooters. We have to have our regime candidates.
Anointed and appointed by the king, huh?
Yeah.
All the king's
and Rockefeller took big control of that at the turn of the century, and it hasn't really changed much since. So
no, it hasn't. And now, Dr. K, you're on the road again, and and hopefully you're going to be on tomorrow night with Wolfgang, are you?
Well, we're going to try. I just want to alert you that we've got a drive to make, and all things said, we should see you tomorrow night. All right. If not, Wolfgang plans to be here as well. Now, Wolfgang is one of those people that you've met several times now, and he, like Charles and others, is a worker, is a laborer, a common, ordinary folk. He's not one of these high and mighty elitists. Those are the kind of people that get things done. And these are the kind of people we're listening to tonight that actually have the gumption to do what they say they intend to do. It's not always about money. It's also about organization. It's also about meeting people. And as Dean said from New York tonight, getting the lists, getting to know the people, telling them how you feel. The anti-incumbent mood right now is very, very high, very strong. Yeah, get the crooks out, and maybe this is something we don't understand, but one by one, as thousands of of Rabbi Johns get out there, it may overwhelm the system with any prayers and hope. One by one, we replace these crooks. That's fine by me. So I just wanted to give you my encouragement that way, and I know what you're up against, and just keep at it, and we'll fire them up again
And
tomorrow.
we're offering the kit to the first 5 contributors, okay, of $20 or more to his campaign on his site. If they come forth tonight, we will give them the book kit on 9/11 and on the Magnificent Message free of charge. Now, that's the first 5. Go to his website, and it's very simple. So we'll repeat it before the end of the program. Thank you, Dr. K.
Yeah, you take care. Bye now.
Bye now. All right, Charles, so you've heard from just about everybody tonight in all walks of life, people running for office, ordinary people, people that are in the media, educated, people have been there, done that. I think you must have some sense of encouragement tonight, I hope.
Oh, yes, I do, Rick. And let me emphasize what I said about you being a Christian.
Yeah.
And the long and short of it is, don't confuse me with the Creator himself who said, turn your cheek. I'm more like Moses and Jonah. I mean, the Lord loved them, but they were stubborn.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
That's what I'm like. I love the Lord myself 100%, but so he spared my life when I was a miserable piece of garbage. But still, don't confuse with the long hair and the beads hanging in my hair and kind of a Jesus type person. No, I'm more like Moses and Jonah, and boy, they were stubborn. But the Lord wanted them, and he loved them.
Right.
And he spared them. So that's what I'm more like. And one more thing, Rick. July 4th, 2007, this how I got off the street. I gave my life to the Lord in my friend's house, and 30 days later, I met this wonderful woman, father named Jimmy. He turned me down. He said he didn't need no help. But I came back the second day because the Lord wouldn't let me rest. It made me go back the same route. And I said, you sure you don't need no help? He said, come see me next week. Now, here's where I'm going with this. Once I gave my life to the Lord, I forgave one of my enemies, who's a homeless provider named Andrew Wilson at the homeless conference.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord let the burden come up off of me. And on December, a lady named Harley called me and said, hey, I'm going to take you to a place that ain't no shelter. You don't like it. It was called Compassion Community. And she picked me up the night before Christmas and took me down there. And I was able to, stay there for a while until I got a job and moved out.
Sure.
And then I met this other woman. Her name is Carmen Beckley. Now, Rick, I got to throw her name in there because this is the woman that changed the man you see before you now. Carmen is the lady that invited me to speak to her Sunday school class.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to do it at first because the last time I was at a conference, they grabbed the microphone from me. And I'm about to say no, but an angel whispered in my ear and said, better think about it. Use some wisdom. And I said I would do it. And she was my boss's daughter. And when I gave her the microphone back, I could speak to her Sunday school class. That little 4'9" lady squeezed the life out of me, Rick, in front of her husband and the entire Sunday school class.
Well, that's marvelous. Marvelous.
Facebook,
Charlie, let's give your address again, your email and your web address. Go ahead. It's Neely for Congress. That's NEELY, number 4, Congress 2012. At info.com, right? Is that right?
That's correct. That's right.
Okay.
Congress 2012.info.
Excellent. I have to break now, and we're going to have to let you go because I got something in the next segment, but thank you for being my guest. Thank you, Charles. Good.
That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Berkey purification systems have long been recognized as the world's ultimate in water purification. Berkeys are used worldwide under normal, hostile, and emergency environments. Securing your access to good-tasting, sparkling, wholesome drinking water can be harder than you might expect. Water is often laced with chlorine, lead, high levels of harmful bacteria, and other unwanted chemicals and contaminants. Even bottled water can contain these contaminants, and moreover, it's expensive. Other purification systems are inferior. Most do remove pathogenic bacteria, and many remove the beneficial minerals that your body needs. Perhaps that's why Berkey systems have long been recognized as the world's ultimate in water purification. This simple, highly effective method of microporous, self-sterilizing, and recleanable black Berkey purification elements bring you the finest water purification system available anywhere. Call today, 1-800-724-2719. That's 1-800-724-2719. Or go to our online store, republicbroadcasting.org. Free shipping for a limited time only.
Came a town. He needed eyes in the back of his head as he walked into Connor's place. And the town was still, you could feel the chill as he met him face to face.
All the fastest guns were blazing, and it looked like he was done. But he pulled again on the hand and he took them one by one. Oh, yes, there was a man who tried to save a town. Just one man to try.
Well, that's about it, folks. I think that symbolizes it, and that tells it the way it is. How to tame a town, how to tame a nation, a country, a world. And first thing you do is basically set your own house in order, get straightened out, and be yourself. And that's what makes these programs here at RBN so successful. That's why, you know you're getting the real thing. Whether you agree with them all or not is not the important thing. The important thing is that it's not a put-up. I know that I'm not, and I know that I speak for myself and myself only. No bank accounts, no big mansions, no big schemes for making money. No, it's just me, humble little old me, doing this program night after night. And, it's done because there are more important things than the things that this world has to offer. I thought that's a nice way to end the program tonight. God willing, we'll see you or hear you, listen to you, and vice versa tomorrow night here on RBN. So please support it. Support us in the pledge drive. Keep your prayers and contributions coming. Good night, everybody.